All right, class, if you missed this, or if you're getting this as a recommended video, that it means that you missed something related to histograms on the quiz. So, like, you may have missed a question where it gives you a picture of a histogram like this, and then it asks a series of questions related to it. Like, for example, if you look at this graph on the screen right now, it might ask how many students are represented in the histogram. Well, all you would have to do there is count these numbers right here. So, you would just add 4 plus 6 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 3. What is that? 10, 12, 14, 16, 19. So there would be 19 total students in the survey or the class or whatever it was. Next question could be something like, how many students have scores above, or actually, how many students have scores below, say, 275? Well, that's going to require you to look carefully at the scale here, which really on any of these graphing questions this week, just really pay attention carefully to the scales. So what you want to notice is that if this tick mark is at 100 and this tick mark is at 150, then there's a span of a distance of 50 between them. So if you cut it in half, it lets you know that these little increments right here are a distance of 25. So what that means is 275 would actually be right here, because we would add 25 to the 250. Or you can think of it as 275 as halfway between the 250 and the 300. So with that in mind, the number of students below a 275 right there would just be this many, plus this many, plus this. So if you add up those four where I put the checks, that's 10, 12, 14 people have scores below a 275. You just really have to pay attention to the scale. Or if it said how many students had scores, say, above 175. So above 175, and again, you just have to pay attention to where 175 would be and look at the tick marks. So this right here is halfway between 150 and 200. That would be the 175. So if I think of my line right there as 175, keyword above would now be just to add the 2 here, the 2 here, the 2 here, and the 3 here. Those are all pertain to scores above the 175. So that would be 2, 4, 6, 9 people. And if it then said, what's the highest possible score of a student represented in the histogram? Realize that these are the scores along the horizontal axis. So the highest, we don't know what with a histogram, when you group data into intervals or bins, you don't really know individual values. So the highest score is in this last bar right here. This pertains to the highest values on the horizontal scale, but yet it could be anywhere between 325, which is right here where this tick mark is, and 375, if you pay attention to the tick marks. Well, that means the highest possible would be 375. We don't know if anybody actually got a 375, but if you understand the lowest and highest values that pertain to that bar, that it goes from 325 to 375, then that's the highest possible score somebody could get in that particular interval. All right, so that should hopefully help you with one of the questions if you got this video. It also might mean that you missed a question on, let me give you an example. It might also mean that you just missed a question where it already maybe gave you, so this would not even pertain to that. It might already give you, if you click on the little data table thing, it might already give you some information in like table format. Say maybe it gives you the age ranges. And let's see, 50 to 59. All right, so it would already give you the age ranges and then also give you it might say like number of students or something like that. So that what you need to realize is the number of students are really it's like the frequencies of each of these bins, each of these intervals. So if it said like 0 there, 18 there, 16 there, 2 there, 0 there, and 1 there. It's going to be one of those questions that you match this table of information to the appropriate choice of the correct histogram. Well, you don't even need to do this in Excel. It would make it more complicated to figure out how to get Excel to do this. So all you really need to do is remember these are frequencies, which frequencies pertain to the heights of the bars in a histogram. So you could just rough sketch what this should look like. The first bar should be non-existent because the frequency is 0. So there'll be a little gap right where the first bar would go. Then the next bar goes all the way up to 18. So, just kind of pay attention to your scale, and it would be something close to 20, a little bit below 20. Then 16, so, maybe something like that. And then it drops all the way down to 2. So something really small like that. Then there'd have to be a gap because there's a 0, and then a 1. So, it would literally be the choice that looks something like that. And of course, you would not want to forget that gap to start with because it's a 0. So that should be pretty easy to do if you just realize you don't need to do anything fancy. You don't need to try to import it into Excel. You just want to realize that these number of student values are really your frequencies so that they should match up to the heights of the bars.